Before we show you this assault, we showed it to several experts. None of them, literally none, could figure out what actually happened here. The tanks and infantry behaved as if they weren't at war, but on some badly directed reality show. Maybe it's the weather? Who knows? So, watch this. A tank and a BMP are approaching a village. And by military standards, the weather is actually great. A light drizzle, and most importantly, fog, which messes with UAV's operators. Still, you can see EW gear on the tank. So the duo reaches this big white building without any trouble at all. The village is in the gray zone. There are no Ukrainians here. So the first Russian infantrymen calmly dismount and head toward the building. A perfect operation. And then it turns into Mulholland Drive. Just as the infantry reaches the building, the tank fires right at them. Nice move, buddy. Of course, this Russian soldier did not expect that kind of backstab. If he wanted to say anything to the tank crew, he quickly changed his mind and ran, far away from his own guys, and straight toward Ukrainian positions. You think that shot was some kind of friendly fire accident? The usual chaos that happens in war? Yeah, we thought so too, until we saw what happens next. Everyone seems calm now, so the BMP moves in closer to drop off the second group of infantry. A Ukrainian drone appears in the sky, but the cage armor handles the blast pretty well. The tank rolls back a bit under the trees, and oh no. Oh no, no, no. It rotates its turret toward the building again. Boom. And a few seconds later, boom again, as if the first one wasn't enough. And then, again. And again. And again. Hey man, what the hell are you doing out there? Every UAV in the area swarms in like bees to a feast just to watch this show. Thanks to them, you're seeing this footage. Eventually, the nerves of the Ukrainian UAV operators snap, and a whole cloud of explosive FPVs rains down on the Russian tank. Anything to stop this unhinged Russian tanker who has completely lost it. The tanker finally comes to his senses and starts firing in a different direction, into the trees. The Russians who survived inside that building, if any of them did, should probably thank the Ukrainian drones, because without them, their own tank would have finished them off. After several dozen FPVs hits, the crew of the Russian tank finally abandons the vehicle. Probably so they would never have to see that tank, or each other, ever again, and they won't, because the drones finished the job. But you and I are still sitting here in front of the screen completely confused. So what the hell was that? If you managed to understand what happened, write your version in the comments, because our editorial team can't sleep over this. And if, just like us, you understood absolutely nothing, then hit the like button. And don't worry about not understanding it, because as they say, if you understood Mulholland Drive, you didn't watch it right. By the way, we're often told in the comments that we show only the failures of the Russian army. Well, let's fix that. The village of Nadia in eastern Ukraine. We checked. Here it is. Between two bodies of water. You can see them in the drone footage as well. While Ukrainian forces prepare for the assault, an assault that turned into a mess, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because your subscription for us is like two tanks arriving at exactly the right moment. You'll understand what we mean in a second. So, before the assault on the village, Ukrainians conduct artillery preparation, exactly by the book. Everything is done quickly, so the Russians don't have time to send reinforcements. After the artillery strike, two tanks move out first. Two M113s with infantry follow behind them. At first, everything seems to be going according to plan, but halfway there, one of the M113s stops far from the planned landing point. What happened? A breakdown. This M113 can't move. It can only shoot. There is no turning back, because the operation cannot be cancelled. The tanks and the other M113 are already far ahead. So the infantry that didn't make it to the drop-off point dismounts right in front of Russian positions. They ignite smoke grenades to cover the forced landing from Russian drones and artillery. Losing tempo and having fewer forces means the operation risks stalling, so the Ukrainian unit moves toward the planned point on foot, through a tree line full of Russian bunkers. A few minutes later, connection with the command post is lost, and Russian drones appear in the sky. The Ukrainian mission suddenly turns into a walk into a wall of punishment. Oh, that is the worst thing that can happen. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian tanks are already in the village. Fortunately, their connection with the Operation HQ is stable. Commanders can see all the events and Russian movements on the screen, so the tank crews fire precisely at the buildings where Russians are hiding. A few minutes later, drones begin circling above them. so the tanks fall back. The village now has to be cleared by infantry, but where are they? Still in the forest. Only the first trench line has been captured so far. But we can see that communication with the Operation HQ has been restored. Yeah, these guys who have to move along Russian trenches and bunkers, nobody envies them. A long, dangerous, dirty job is waiting for them. Every one of these soldiers could win Final Jeopardy. If the task was to identify a weapon by its sound, they wouldn't even need to listen to the think melody for the full 30 seconds. Yes, they absolutely cannot bunch up, but it's hard not to, because fear pushes people together. By the way, the name of this village translates from Ukrainian as hope. Well, as long as the sun is shining, hope lives. But then, a pair of tanks rolling in to help is the VIP version of hope, with free delivery of 125mm tank shells. Direct fire, straight into the enemy bunker, and they arrive exactly when needed. The Russians abandoned their positions because holding under tank fire on an area the size of a golf course is simply impossible. The job is done. The village of Nadia remains under Ukrainian control, but instead of a few hours, the operation lasted 30 hours. And if those two tanks hadn't come to support the Ukrainian infantry, the map would look very different. But even a single tank can flip the entire fight. Remember Rhino? If you watched our video Ukrainian Leopard ambushes Russian convoy, then you definitely remember this beast. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it, seriously. So this Leopard A4, the Ghost King of Pokrovsk, is about to show you his new adventures. And this is the tank commander, call sign Chudik, which you can translate as oddball. What happened this time?
We were ordered to move out to Pokrovsk again and repeat the previous mission. Only this time we had to enter from the other side. They said the Russians moved to higher floors, but most likely it was a different unit, because we intercept their radio.
So, the tank's mission in the city is simple. You roll out, fire at the enemy shelters, and then you run like hell. Because with the sky full of drones, the crew doesn't even have the chance to fire half of its ammunition. This time, the Leopard A4 fires only 7 rounds.
After the 7th shot, we were warned over the radio that a Russian bird was tracking us. So I decided to drive around Pokrovsk a bit to confuse the Russian drone operators.
Now you understand why this guy's call sign is oddball, right? Yes, obviously he was trying to hide the permanent location of his tank from the enemy. They had been trying to pinpoint him for several days. But escaping drones in a tank? Impossible. Or is it? Look, he's circling the streets and yards like it's his own neighborhood. Maybe he used to walk this path to school. Maybe this is where he smoked his first cigarette. Reminder, smoking kills, but not as fast as an FPV drone with explosives. Maybe this very street was walked 120 years ago by Mykola Leontovich, the composer of Carol of the Bells, on his way to teach his music students. Though it's unlikely the commander of the Leopard A4 was thinking about that at the time. Here his tank slips between houses where, just yesterday, teenagers were hanging out with warm beer and cheap rap blasting from a Bluetooth speaker. Here his tank squeezes between courtyards as if the driver had taken a special urban parking course for 60-ton monsters. But despite his effort, despite all these tank pirouettes, the Russian UAV operators eventually figured him out.
They found us. After the 3rd hit in a row, we decided to pull back. But the 4th bird hit the transmission. We stalled. We received the order to abandon the tank.
While the tankers walk on foot back to friendly positions, the drones keep attacking. The onboard camera keeps recording. That's why you can see all this. Rhino took 26 hits, but the tank keeps standing in the middle of the city like a monument. Here comes the 27th drone, searching for a weak spot to punch again. Later, the Russians claimed they destroyed the tank and the crew.
Yes, I heard they consider us dead and the tank destroyed. But no. The transmission is gone, sure, but it can be replaced. We're here. We're working.
If the actions of the Ukrainian tank commander are more or less understandable, he was trying to save the tank. The actions of these Russian tank crews are straight up baffling. How is something like this even possible? So, 3 Russian tanks with cages welded on top are charging forward across the steppe. But a few hundred yards ahead, right in their path, appears an anti-tank ditch. And here come two questions. First, did reconnaissance seriously fail to notice a ditch so massive it can be seen from space? Even Google Maps wouldn't miss something like that. And the second question, what are these tankers supposed to do now? If we'll never get an answer to the first question, because the universe simply refuses to explain some things, the second question actually does have an answer. Watch. After running nose first into the ditch, the tank crews decide to drive around it. Yes, just take the ditch and go around it. This is about as smart as saying, okay, there's a river, but what if we just drive next to it? Spoiler, it does not work that way. So the result of this genius maneuver is right in front of you. A swarm of extremely angry mechanical bees covers these tanks. And that's it. Game over. Kamikaze drones turned out to be one of the big revelations of this war. But they don't just fly. Here's an old Russian T-54, which nobody knows how it even made it to the front line, rolling toward Ukrainian positions. You probably think, what a brave crew. But no, there's nobody inside. Only 6 tons of explosives. Boom. Nope, that was just a random mine. Boom. And now that's the boom you were waiting for. A Ukrainian infantryman fired from a trench with an RPG. Looks like he got a bit mesmerized by the effect. And the recon drone almost ended up in low Earth orbit from the shockwave. Write in the comments what you think about the tactic of boom tanks. Or tell us what shocked you the most in this video. Thanks for watching. You know the saying, tanks aren't afraid of mud? Yeah, not exactly. Now imagine, you're rolling into combat in this Leopard, and suddenly it starts raining. Boom. War canceled. This Leopard 1A5 handles like a hog on ice, man. Wait a second, is that even a Leopard? Or, yeah, it's a tank. It shoots. Could T-64s or T-72s, now fighting alongside the Leopards in Ukraine, end up in the same kind of mess? Only in Ukraine will you find tankers who've actually seen combat in all the main Cold War tanks, now fighting together under one flag. Let's hear from them.
I fought on the T-64 my whole career, and now I'm on the Leopard. We started off training on the T-72. Then we switched to the Leopard one. And yeah, I've seen action in the T-64 too. Before the Leopard one, I served on a T-64 for 5 years. So trust me, I've got things to say about these tanks.
You'll also find out, straight from the source, just how relevant these old tanks really are on a modern battlefield. Or is this no place for old tanks? Help us reach more people and create even more content by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Here we go. This Leopard 105 is confidently moving out for a combat mission on a regular paved road. Then it turns off onto dirt, still holding up just fine. Eventually, the crew gets orders to move toward enemy positions, and the Leopard rolls across a field without too much trouble. So what went wrong? We'll get back to that rare footage later when we talk about the gun and protection of the Leopard 1. But right now, let's focus on something else. Why does the Leopard 1 move so well on asphalt or dry terrain, and yet seem so helpless on wet ground? Let's hear it from the operators themselves.
Look, we've got rubber pads on our tracks. That's to keep us from tearing up roads. Thanks to those pads, the tank handles really well on asphalt. Way better than Soviet tanks. But on dirt, it slips. Sometimes we can't even roll out on a mission because the tracks just keep sliding.
The average number of days with rain or snow in Ukraine is around 140 per year. In January, humidity often reaches 80%. So even without active rainfall, from autumn through spring, Ukraine's fertile soil turns into something like oatmeal, and a Leopard 1 doesn't stand a chance in that. So, guys, maybe just remove the rubber pads for certain missions.
If
you take them off, the tracks wear down really fast.
That's a problem. But what about the T-64 and T-72? Take a look. This isn't a cutscene from World of Tanks, it's the real deal. A Ukrainian T-72 storms into a mining village, not via the main highway, but through the outskirts, where there's never been pavement. It charges forward confidently, even though the ground under its tracks is a mix of wet snow and mud. And that's not even the worst battlefield sludge. Now, here's a Ukrainian T-72. It plows straight through to Russian positions in total mud hell. It maneuvers, opens fire point blank on enemy bunkers, dodges an anti-tank shot, and flattens trenches into the earth. Watch what it does. The mud's waist deep, and the T-72 still pulls itself out with confidence. Hard to imagine a Leopard 1 doing that. And in these shots, a Ukrainian T-64 tank drives out to a firing position across a plowed field, saturated with snow and rain. And what do you think? Mission accomplished. We don't know exactly what kind of steel Germany used to make the Leopard's tracks, but it's doubtful that the T-64 or T-72 tracks are made from some exotic secret alloy either. So what's the difference? Let's take a closer look. Here's a Leopard 1 track, and this is a T-72 track. Notice how the cleats have a much more aggressive tread. It gives better traction off-road. Now look at the T-64 tracks. They're honestly kind of genius. They're narrower than most tanks' tracks, but they've got holes in the plates. At first, that seems dumb. Won't mud get stuck in there? Exactly. Mud does get stuck inside. But when the track runs over the top portion of the drive loop, the movement shakes the plates, and the dirt just falls out. No moving parts. No expensive gimmicks. Just clever engineering. Cheap, simple, effective. So, why doesn't the Leopard 1 have something like this? Here's our hypothesis. The Leopard 1 was built to race down autobahns and meet Soviet T-64s and T-72s somewhere between the Rhine and Elbe, or maybe in some mystical Teutoburg forest showdown. Maybe the soil is just different over there. But hey, our comment section is full of former tankers, and we love hearing your insights. So if you're a tanker, drop your opinion in the comments. Why does the Leopard 1 have those tracks? Even if you're not a tanker, we still want to hear what you think. Let's get back to the fight. Ukrainian Leopard won a 5-pounding Russian positions. It may not handle wet terrain perfectly, but on dry off-road ground it holds its own. And one thing's for sure, it fires just fine whether it's raining or sunny. That's thanks to the British-made Royal Ordnance L7A3 main gun, originally developed back in the 1950s. Still, it's a little ironic. A German tank with a British cannon. And even more frustrating, the caliber. 105 millimeters. Meanwhile, both the T-64 and T-72 use 125 millimeter guns. And everyone knows, size matters. But as you can see, 105 millimeters is still enough to smash through concrete positions. Is it enough to take out tanks and armored vehicles?
People think this is a small caliber. They're completely wrong. This is a rifled gun. Rifled, not smoothbore.
Alright, we get it, man. But what does that actually give you? See, rifling stabilizes the shell, but it also causes some energy loss. For example, the 125mm smoothbore gun on the T-64 and T-72 delivers 40 to 50% more muzzle energy than a 105mm. That's why the next-gen Leopard's upgraded to the 120mm Rheinmetall RH-120 smoothbore. By the way, we've got a full video on the Challenger 2, which also uses a rifled gun. That one breaks down the pros and cons. But it looks like the cons won, since the new Challenger 3 will get the German 120mm Rheinmetall smoothbore too. So the old debate to twist or not to twist seems to be settled. Still, the rifled gun on the Leopard 1 shouldn't be written off just yet. It was built for precision and consistent trajectory.
Because this is a rifled gun, there were times we hit windows from 5 to 6 kilometers out. No exaggeration.
This is hands down one of the most successful tank guns of the 20th century. Rifling spins the shell, giving it that tight, stable flight. That's why tank crews talk about it with genuine respect. The only thing better than a Royal Ordnance gun is another Royal Ordnance gun. And there's more. The Leopard 105 comes with
a night sight so good, I don't even have words. Just phenomenal.
Plus a laser rangefinder, dual-axis stabilizer, and a ballistic computer. That's what makes the Leopard 1A5 quick and lethal in combat.
The faster you shoot, the better. We can fire 13 rounds in 2 minutes and then get out. Look, the enemy positions were here, trenches and bunkers. We engaged them for exactly 3 minutes. Even though the range was 2,100 meters, our spread was excellent, 20 meters between hits.
So, yeah, the Leopard 105's fire control system lets this old German tank stay a predator even now, even in tough conditions. In fact, it was so good that it carried over into the next generation, the Leopard 2. But what about the T-64 and T-72?
Way harder to hit with the T-64. No electronics, worse optics. Much worse.
The basic fire control system on Soviet-era tanks is definitely outdated, but after modernization, these old tanks received thermal sights, laser rangefinders, digital ballistic computers, weather sensors, and better stabilizers, all of which make them viable on today's battlefield. That said, not every tank in Ukraine's inventory has gone through every stage of that modernization.
But the T-64 has its own advantages.
Advantages? Yep, here they are. First, in addition to the coaxial 7.62mm machine gun, Soviet-style tanks like the T-64 are equipped with a remotely operated 12.7mm heavy machine gun. It can engage helicopters, drones, and enemy personnel at ranges up to 1 to 1.5 kilometers, improving both crew survivability and firepower effectiveness. Second, the 125mm 2A46 gun, mounted on all T-64 and T-72 variants, hits like a sledgehammer compared to the Leopard's cannon. And yes, it can even fire a guided missile straight from the barrel. Third, the T-64 and T-72 both use autoloaders, which reduce the crew to just 3 soldiers. Thanks to this, these tanks are about 200 millimeters lower in height. That reduced profile might have made a difference in this specific combat clip. What about protection? If all that fell from the sky were rocks, there'd be no issue. But out here, tanks are constantly hunted by anti-tank weapons and drones, most of which carry shaped charges, so armor matters. Check this out. This Leopard one is covered in Contact 1 ERA blocks.
I'd say the tank's pretty well protected now. We took a hit from a drone, and it barely did anything.
The same Contact 1 explosive reactive armor is used on T-64s and T-72s. And to be fair, their base armor is still better than that of the Leopard one. In fact, Contact 1 and protective netting are now being mounted on modern tanks too, like the Leopard 2 and Abrams. It's a must-have. No tank survives long nowadays without additional protection. We don't see large-scale tank breakthroughs in this war anymore, but the combat footage you've seen in this video proves that even older tanks can be adapted to the conditions we face today. So what's the real takeaway?
The most important thing is crew coordination.
Exactly. Skill matters in every aspect of war, because the stakes are life and death. On that note, we recommend checking out our video about a brilliant ambush pulled off by a Ukrainian Leopard 2A4 crew against a Russian tank convoy. And we'll keep sharing the real frontline experience of how weapons are used in this war. So hit subscribe if you want to learn more than what you'll find on Wikipedia. Thanks for watching. Above the heads of Ukrainian infantry, Russian aircraft are buzzing like hornets, trying to sting them with their weapons. Russian pilots have gotten so bold that they allow themselves to fly directly over Ukrainian positions. This kind of behavior really pissed off the operators of the Polish Piorun man-pads, named after the god of thunder. As soon as this weapon appeared in the trenches, missiles shot into the sky like lightning.
We've got a bad boy like this. He's a little taller than a Stinger. He can hide in a trench, and what can you do to him? You can't do a thing, but he'll do his job.
And while the Piorun might only be a hair taller than a Stinger, its firepower proved very quickly that the difference is much bigger where it matters.
And the most important thing is that it was effective. The aircraft was successfully destroyed.
Today we're going to tell you how Ukrainians are hunting and straight up haunting Russians in the sky with Polish weapons. And most importantly, we'll try to figure out whether the Piorun man-pads has really proven itself as effective in a modern war, or if that was just a one-off success. What comes next is the unfiltered truth from soldiers straight from the front line. Work on Piorun lasted a full 5 years. Polish engineers carried out a deep modernization of its predecessor, the Grom system, which entered service in 1995. It was created on the basis of the Soviet man-portable air defense systems Igla-1 and Igla.
Back in Soviet times, there was Igla and Igla-1. Its shape reminds you of the old model, but our Polish partners completely reworked the internals.
So we can confidently say that Piorun took the best characteristics from its predecessors. On paper, it sounds really cool, but what about actual combat use? That's where the Poles got help from the guys next door in Ukraine. Above their positions, there's a whole swarm of Russian aerial targets buzzing around, and they urgently need to be brought down.
In this sector, enemy army aviation is working very intensively. These are Su-25 attack aircraft. These are enemy helicopters, Mi-24, Mi-8, K-52. That's what we see.
A Russian Su-25 pilot had no idea that Ukrainians had received a magic wand from the Poles, so he calmly took off to carry out his mission and drop bombs on friendly positions.
The Poles sent us this kind of surprise, a very pleasant one. This is the Polish Piorun, a surface-to-air missile system for engaging aerial targets.
2 fully loaded Russian Su-25s were flying along a carefully planned route so as not to accidentally run into Ukrainian air defenses. They assumed Ukrainian infantry might use man-pads, but they weren't sure if this particular weapon was actually present on the line of contact. The Russians took the risk, and that became their fatal mistake.
You know, there are people sitting in those pilot seats too, and they make mistakes as well. Our job is to wait for that mistake and take the shot.
Ukrainian air defense gunners held their breath and, like hunters in season, sat hidden in cover, waiting for their target. The Su-25 was like a wild duck flying low over the ground, a fat, juicy target. But you only have a few seconds to take the shot.
The target shows up for maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and in that time, you have to work it. We're like hunters waiting for our prey. We sit for a long time, we wait, sometimes for months.
The final battle was just minutes away. The soldiers heard a terrifying sound building in the sky, the roar of incoming Russian attack aircraft. They flew in on their target and fired their salvos. Powerful explosions thundered all around, but the Russians missed. At that moment, the Ukrainians brought the Piorun into combat readiness and prayed that the Russians would slip up and drift off their planned route. They wanted revenge for all the days those aircraft had robbed them of peace. And maybe God really heard their plea. Because right then, one of the Su-25s veered off course. It became clear that a meeting between the Piorun and the Su-25 was now inevitable. But would the Russian pilot manage to come out of this duel unharmed?
The aircraft was carrying out a combat mission with unguided rockets. As usual, they launched them somewhere into a field. They were returning along their standard route, and one of their aircraft made a wrong turn. That's it. He flew about a kilometer from our positions.
The Ukrainians had only one chance. The Russians would not repeat such a mistake twice.
Everything has to take seconds, because if you don't react in time, catching the target and shooting it down becomes almost impossible. You have very little time for that.
When the Russian Su-25 entered the system's engagement zone, the Ukrainians took aim in just a matter of seconds and launched. Every soldier crossed their fingers, waiting for the result of the duel. The feeling was like a decisive penalty in football, or an extra round in boxing, the moment when everything can end with an unexpected twist. Here's what happened next.
It happened on March 9th. The aircraft flew into our zone of responsibility, and we reacted in time.
Hit the like button so this incredible story reaches as many viewers as possible. That day, the duel ended 1-0 in favor of the Polish Piorun man-pads. But what about the Russian Ka-52? The one that stalks Ukrainian infantry like an alligator looking for prey. According to the Russians, the Ka-52 is a flying tank. So can Polish weapons stop it? The Ukrainians decided to test those Russian boasts about an invincible helicopter and set up an ambush hidden among the green trees. The result? The Ka-52 went straight to the scrapyard. According to Defense Express, with the help of the Piorun man-pads, the Ukrainian armed forces have managed to hunt down and destroy both Russian helicopters and aircraft, including Mi-24s, Su-25s, and even the modern Su-34s. And the fighters of the 95th Air Assault Brigade shot down 2 Russian Ka-52 reconnaissance strike helicopters with this system. Did this affect the situation in that sector? Hell yeah, it did. Spoiler: Russian pilots no longer feel as confident in the air as they once did.
Lately, we can note a very high activity of reconnaissance drones. The work of enemy army aviation has decreased a bit. You can't say it disappeared completely, but it has gone down.
However, 2 other threats remain, just as frightening, and Russia keeps them up its sleeve like a hidden ace. These are drones and missiles, the kind that hit not only military positions but civilians as well. Can the Polish Piorun handle them? In this footage, Ukrainian paratroopers successfully destroy 2 Russian Orlan 10 drones in a row. But what about cruise missiles? They carry flares, and hunting them is definitely not something you'd call simple. Here's how a Ukrainian general commented on the meeting between Piorun and a Russian Kh-101 cruise missile.
I congratulated the guys who on January 23rd shot down 2 Kh-101 cruise missiles. One missile was taken down with a Piorun man-pads, and the other with a Browning heavy machine gun.
It turns out this Polish man-pads wasn't named after the Lord of Lightning for nothing. Just look at how many target acquisition modes it has. I bet even German DJ Paul van Dyk doesn't have that many buttons on his console.
It's good because we can set the mode: drone, helicopter, aircraft, and missile. You just press the control button, and it shows what you selected.
None of this came out of thin air. The Poles approached their air defense systems very intelligently. They analyzed all the strengths and weaknesses of previous manpads in service and tried to reach the golden middle, and that balance became Piorun. Specifically, engineers significantly improved the performance of the cooled, stabilized infrared seeker head. It now has better resolution and is 4 times more sensitive. Argon is used as the coolant for the seeker. This decision allowed them to expand the target acquisition and engagement zone for aerial targets. But the most important thing is that Piorun handles enemy flares far more effectively, and flares today are one of the main countermeasures against manpads on modern aircraft and helicopters. Russians also install similar systems on their cruise missiles. And the Poles didn't stop there. The missile received a better engine, which allowed for an increase in effective engagement range. Piorun is equipped with both a contact fuse and a laser proximity fuse. The first detonates on direct impact with the target, while the warhead of the second explodes at a distance and shreds the target with fragments.
For countering all Russian helicopters that fly up to around 4 kilometers in altitude, or aircraft at low altitudes, this is the ideal option compared to the Soviet Iglas currently in service with the Ukrainian armed forces.
Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new powerful frontline stories coming straight from the battlefield. Aside from the foldable mechanical sight, the system now allows soldiers to customize their weapon. Thanks to the universal mounting rail, an infantryman can install optical, night vision, and thermal sights onto the reusable launcher. And after hearing this, Russian crews should probably think twice before deciding to fly night missions. And what about the missile? The one that makes aircraft feel some real pain in the sky. It received a reinforced warhead weighing 1.82 kilograms and can hit aerial targets at altitudes from 10 to 4,000 meters and at distances from 500 to 6,500 meters from the operator.
An extremely good, excellent, smart missile. It flies fast and hits the target well. A very good weapon.
And to increase the chances of a successful hit, engineers improved the launch mechanism with modern electronics. They added a switch that lets the operator choose whether to launch the missile chasing the target or head on toward it. And in our editorial team's opinion, one of Piorun's biggest advantages is the authorization system. Only an operator who has the key is able to launch the missile. This simple little detail prevents the manpads from being used against friendly forces if it ever ends up in enemy hands. Another advantage compared to many competitors is its similarity to Soviet Igla systems. That familiarity allowed Ukrainians to master the Piorun extremely quickly and immediately use it on the front line.
It affected both the range and the shooting quality. Our units mastered them very quickly thanks to the similarity with Soviet models. They didn't need much time to learn and use them.
For some soldiers, Piorun became the absolute favorite. Where does that kind of love come from? Let an experienced fighter answer, someone who has plenty to compare it to.
Personally, the Piorun is the best for me. All my downed targets are with the Piorun. I also fired the Igla and the Stinger. The Stinger is a good system too, but for me, the Piorun is the one I like the most.
But don't hurry to celebrate yet, because Piorun does have downsides. And the biggest one is its price, 1.8 million euros. But even despite this serious price tag, countries like Norway, Estonia, Lithuania, Georgia, Slovakia, and Belgium have already signed contracts for Piorun deliveries. Why are nations ready to pay such money for a relatively new system? 2 factors played in Piorun's favor: its successful use by Ukrainians against Russians and its high production rate. Poland produces Piorun missiles in greater numbers than the United States produces Stingers, and France produces Mistrals combined, which means the Poles managed to combine both quality and mass production. And that is a serious argument in modern warfare. Here's the confirmation straight from a soldier at the front line.
If we're rating it on a 5-point scale, I'd say it works at a solid 5.
Can we say the Poles succeeded? In our opinion, absolutely yes. Are they planning to stop? Definitely not. Engineers took into account real combat experience from the Russo-Ukrainian War. And right now, they're working on Grozmat, which is supposed to become the successor to Piorun. This so-called upgraded Piorun 2 will be heavier and will have a different operating principle and a new missile with an improved seeker head. We can wish them success in this work, and Ukrainian soldiers want to thank them for the help already provided.
We want to thank our foreign partners for the weapons and for giving us the ability to destroy the enemy.
Would you like to see more videos about manpads? Maybe one about the French Mistral, the Soviet Igla, or the Ukrainian Strela? Write your answer in the comments. This is our house. Get the hell out of here.
The encircled city is being destroyed street by street. Small groups of Ukrainian fighters keep resisting, cut off from their own forces and any logistics. The enemy might be around the corner or in the next room, but there is no way out. Supplies are running low. Evacuation is impossible. The future is uncertain. How do you survive in conditions like this? And what does it cost?
We won't let them in here. Everything's gonna be fine. You hear me, brothers? Everyone calm? Yeah? All Cossacks?
The center of Toretsk is being desperately held by Ukrainian police units. Volunteer police officer Bohdan Kushner arrives at the position of his men. At this moment, assault groups of Russia's 132nd Motor Rifle Brigade are trying to find any gaps in the defense and push Ukrainian defenders out of their positions. The situation worsens every hour, and what was supposed to be a rotation turns into a weeks-long marathon of survival.
Where are you? I'll storm you myself, you little bastard.
У них тактика така: група йде в
Their tactic works like this. There's always one senior guy in the group, experienced, been in fights many times, knows the terrain perfectly, knows exactly where he is and what his task is, and they attach a bunch of meat fighters to him. Their job is just to be the mass. Just walk, shoot, hold positions, wait until, as they say, they build up the line. They just sit, wait for more to come, and when reinforcements arrive, they move further until they're killed.
The bodies of Russians they have to step over don't stop the new waves. Day after day, each new assault smashes itself against the Ukrainian defense.
Було таке, що з 5 ранку.
It happened that they started at 5 in the morning, couldn't get in from one direction, left, rested a bit, and came in from another, just from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., a 12-hour assault.
But as the intensity grew, some of them still managed to break straight to the doors of the police unit.
Ми сидимо, наша група.
We're sitting here, our group, and the enemy group is sitting behind the wall. We understand perfectly. One wall separates us. Kent, this is Rise. We're being stormed. Enemy at 9 o'clock in the building. First floor. We need FPV urgently. We need help.
In conditions like this, support from the sky is the only thing you can rely on, and we rely on your like under this video. But support from the sky here is not Hollywood helicopters. It's ordinary drones that handle both logistics and destruction. The FPV manages to neutralize the enemy, and the guys only need to clear the entrance.
Хорош. Хорошо. Контроль. Контроль, вони не можуть вийти, там закрито.
An even harsher situation unfolds for a group of the 100th Separate Mechanized Brigade, just a few streets away from Kushner's men. Fighter Yuri, unable to contact his family, records a video diary.
Привіт, я на своїй позиції.
Hi, I'm at my position. This is me. Today is, I don't know, day 15 or something. I've lost track. Yesterday was a very hard day. They crawled in. It was scary. There lies a very good Russian. We covered him with roofing sheets. And there's another one from the second window. You can't see him from here.
A group of 3 fighters holds the line in complete encirclement. There is no way to reach the nearest friendly position. Russian drones and assault groups are everywhere.
Бігти нема куди.
There's nowhere to run. Neighboring houses, if they're not burned down, had shooting from those sides. Most likely Russians are sitting there.
Their only salvation is stealth and radio contact with the command post. Their mission: stay hidden, hold the line inside a shattered civilian home. Don't forget to subscribe. This is where you hear real frontline stories from real soldiers.
Юрик тільки що.
Yurko just shot in Liberator. I finished him. Then came an immediate drop. A fragment pierced the door, flew right past my head. Lucky, and I'm still without a helmet.
Neutralized occupiers become a valuable source of intel because they often carry working radios.
We captured those enemy radios and listened to their comms, their movements, their plans, and we reported everything directly to our command. If we could tie their chatter to some landmark nearby, we knew exactly where the group was moving. Our neighboring unit had a machine gun working. There was an adjacent position, and over the radio, we hear them guiding one of their assault groups. Their leader tells them, in that area, a sniper and a machine gun are working. A lot of killed there crawl past that spot. So yeah, they have tons of people. They know our sniper and machine gun are covering that sector and that bodies are piling up. And still, they keep sending more. And we report. This group is moving. Besides the sniper and the MG, our drones are also working. They get absolutely shredded. And they still keep pushing into the same spot.
Meanwhile, the situation for the police detachment gets worse. The enemy has crawled right up under their position and is walking literally beneath their windows. But these assault groups are very different from the previous ones.
Койотик! Койотик! Работай по ***ам!
Одна з груп там от якраз.
There were groups, like the one in the video, that didn't retreat at all.
But the professionalism of the Ukrainian police again beats the Russians.
12 годин.
А ну глянь через...
Look through the grate. They're all lying there. All 4 are done. All 4 dead.
Day after day, frontal assaults bring no results, so the Russians try a new tactic.
Сварог, вони за ніч проробили...
Svaro, during the night, they dug a hole. I've got a fight in the basement.
The only thing saving the police group is alertness. The enemy pushed onto the position through a tunnel, but they were detected in time.
Any sharp movement from you, I shoot immediately.
No, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything, I swear 100%.
You Russian, or who are you? Who the hell are you? Take it off. Take it off.
It's hard to breathe.
Take it off. Take it off.
But the Russians aren't the only enemy. The weather hits just as hard. Yuri's group faces shortages and freezing temperatures.
У нас пісня. Дуже
It's
холодно.
very cold. I found some vest, like a fur vest. Still cold though.
Food has to be scavenged. But that's only half the battle. Heating anything is a mission impossible.
Було щось розпалити.
It was impossible to light anything. Even heating food was a problem. Any steam would be visible. No windows left in the house. Everything was visible from outside. A lot of stray dogs, animals. They smelled food and came scratching at the doors, circling around. That could give our position away. Drones could spot movement. It was a problem, but somehow we managed. Near the house we stayed in, 3 cellars burned down. Yesterday we ran to them in the evening. Dangerous as hell, but we had no water. And those cellars had lots of jars, preserves. You know, homemade stuff. Beans in tomato sauce. And without tomato.
Sleep, or the lack of it, is another serious issue. Combat isn't exactly great for rest, and if you add constant assaults, freezing temperatures, and endless shifts on guard, sleep becomes a luxury.
Скажем, немає такого, що ти...
We slept maybe mostly 3 or 4 hours a day, depending on how things went. It's not like someone's gonna bring you water or deliver hot soup. You run out of water, and in freezing weather, if they drop water from a drone, it might smash, or you can't even get outside to grab it because of the enemy. You have to ration food, not that we're starving, but it's cold, you're exhausted, and your body's burning energy like crazy. You're constantly hungry, constantly sleepy. You live in a kind of coma. It's non-stop fighting, mortars landing right on top of you. You're burning out fast.
In these conditions, even the smallest thing can cost you your health.
Від нас спини.
Our guys have a position 100 meters from us. All of them are sick. One has pneumonia, the other pancreatitis. They're not being evacuated either. They promise every day, but we've stopped waiting. We stocked up on food and water. And a sleeping bag. That's the main thing. We managed to drag another one from a cellar.
As the situation in the city worsens, sending armored vehicles for evacuation becomes a major risk. The roads are mined, the enemy's drones are always watching. Every resupply or extraction becomes a heroic act.
Рідна. Заїжджав.
A couple days ago, a vehicle came to evacuate the guys. First, it broke down. Then it didn't have space to take everyone. Then they got it running. It went back for a second run and hit a mine. The crew was wounded.
Police units faced the same risks. A relief team made it right up to the house. But what happened next was pure nightmare.
І я просто стою, дивлюсь.
I'm standing there, watching the sector. Our vehicle rolls up, the door swings open. Their team leader manages to jump out, and before the vehicle even fully stops, an FPV drone slams into its side. The commander is hit by shrapnel and falls. The payload drops. Everyone inside gets hit too. The guys made the only call they could, slam the door shut and drive the hell out.
But the regiment command doesn't give up. One of the next attempts finally succeeds. An armored personnel carrier manages to evacuate the wounded and a POW. Meanwhile, Captain Kushnir's team keeps holding their position. It's been a month of non-stop fighting. The 100th Mechanized Brigade is working to clear mines and ambushes on the access routes to allow rotation for Yuri's team.
Одного разу командир...
One time, the commander said, "Guys, it's better if you stay a bit longer, but we'll get you out without losses. We need to demine the road. Make sure their vehicles don't get ambushed by the enemy. We need good weather too. Everything has to align. Clear road, no enemy fire, and the right weather."
Finally, after 49 days on position, Yuri's group is evacuated. Their story ends well. But the defense of Toretsk has already cost hundreds of Ukrainian lives and thousands of Russian ones. The police team gets their rotation on day 35, under fire the whole way, but they make it out. These are just a few episodes from the defense of one city in Donbass. The battle for Toretsk is still ongoing, as are battles for dozens of towns and villages across the front. Stay with us, because this war isn't over, and every story matters.
Greetings, friends. Today, Army TV is visiting the 22nd Mechanized Brigade. Their motto, "With the sword of the Predator, we bring peace." We've already filmed pieces about this brigade, about their assault troops in training. Today, we're looking at how this brigade's tanks work. We even got to ride one a bit. You told me to pop up from the hatch while moving, so I did. I've only ever ridden a tank in winter. No dust then. But today I stuck my head out just like this, and I noticed your mech driver brother has goggles. You can see he's a seasoned tanker. Dust doesn't bother him at all anymore.
Nah, I've got goggles somewhere too. But you know, we decided to have a little run, and I figured maybe today the weather looked like it wouldn't be too dusty. But it's fine. We're sitting higher than the driver. Let him swallow the dust.
You love your driver, huh?
Yeah, he's a good one. You can even mess with him a little.
Fair enough. What's the tank's name? You know how they paint some female names on them? Do you guys have one?
Well, we planned something, I don't know. Andriy, what did you name your tank? Your baby? I came later.
Not telling.
Come on, say it.
Ah, I get it. I said I'd call mine F-16.
F-16?
Yeah,
Well, almost the same thing.
right. I wanted to paint F-16 on the barrel, and a swallow right beside it.
Support the channel with a like and subscribe. You've been a tanker, an infantryman, a signalman. You said that's just how your career went. What's next after tanks?
Well, like you said, artillery, then MLRS, HIMARS, and from HIMARS. What could I hop onto next? Maybe a book system, just to understand everything from A to Z. And then, when they finally give us those F-16 this summer, I think that's when I'll transfer.
Driving a tank and flying an F-16 are two very different things. But hey, your tank is already called the F-16.
I don't know. F-16 has 2 pilots?
One.
One, right?
1, not 2. The one with a co-pilot is the F-14. That one's definitely two-seater.
I'm not going with you there alone for sure.
Come on, both of us together.
You and your brother won't squeeze into an F-16?
I think it has 2 seats or maybe 3. F-14, I know for sure, is 2-seat. F-16, probably 2 as well.
Well, listen, you could show up for an interview at the Air Force and say you were already a commander of an F-16. They won't realize it was a tank, and they'll just say, all right, take off.
Maybe, yeah. It's the armed forces after all. Medals, girls, that stuff.
So pilots are the romantic ones, right?
Well, yeah. Looks nice on paper.
You just need a real beauty looking at the tank. She'll want to fly straight away.
No, I'm not saying that on camera. I've got a wife, I love her. You'll record it, I'll say too much. I've got a wife, a kid, I love them. Everything's good at home, 'cause you'll show it later, and I'll be the one answering calls about what I blabbed.
If, say, I ever lost my tank commander,
Yeah, he'd give me a little joyride, and then I guess you don't even need to go home afterwards.
All right, listen, I talked to some tankers from the 17th Tank Brigade. So they were parked by a septic pit or something, and a round came in, splashed the tank all over. The tank smelled bad as hell. And I asked them, did you wash it? They said no. Rain did the job eventually. And I'm getting the feeling that tankers don't wash their tanks at all. True or false?
We actually thought about it. Me, the driver, the gunner, even thought of rolling into a car wash. But there's no room, tank won't fit. So yeah, Rain washes it. Pretty much that.
So you only wash it for a parade?
I think so. Maybe we'll prep something special for parade day. Some kind of fun upgrade. We've got ideas. We'll see. We even planned, I told the guys, to mount a speaker system on the back.
A speaker?
A big one. So we can party.
And you'd blast music rolling in?
A C/DC. That's the mission. Rolling back from the line, crank it to max, let it roar. Music full blast.
Tell me, Sonia, you transferred to tanks from infantry. How did that happen? Hard to compare, I know. But what's your take? Better for you here or not?
Right now, yeah, better. Though my brother's an idiot, but nothing critical.
The driver?
Yeah,
Why an idiot?
doesn't listen to me. 'Cause he's my brother.
Older?
Younger?
Younger.
3 years younger. He joined tankers first, just as the brigade was forming. He got tanks, I got infantry. Later I told him, I think I want to be a tanker. We talked. And then the commander came, and they took me over.
So the commander wanted you, but your brother's actually the experienced tanker here. He still doesn't want to listen to you.
He's got a year of service behind him already. I say, move left. He goes right. I say right. He goes left. He does it on purpose. He's my brother after all.
And how the hell do you fight like that?
Fight? That's exactly how we fight. Like brothers. Somehow it works. Good thing the gunner saves the day, puts rounds where they need to go. My brother just wants to run over them. That's what he dreams of. A dream. Yeah? A whole damn dream for him, you get it?
Ammo's too precious to waste. He wants to work them with the tracks.
well, yeah, if the gunner's the one shooting, then the Megvod has nothing to do. I'm just sitting there steering the tank. I want to drive over them, at least 20 of them, you know?
You feel left out. They fire. And you're just...
Exactly. I could at least drive through something.
Why don't you listen to your brother?
Why don't I listen? He hasn't matured enough yet.
He's older than you.
Doesn't matter. Younger ones should be listened to more.
He's just bigger. Huge, you see? I'm small. He just grabs me by the throat and that's it.
It's fine. We'll be okay. We'll listen. A soldier's a soldier. We'll follow orders. The main thing is to give the right command, yeah, and execute it right.
So you help him out, give him pointers if needed?
Yeah, sure. Even today I was helping him.
He understands more. He's been here a year already.
Just give me the right command. So I understand exactly where to go, what to do, and everything will be fine. He's not yet that much of a specialist to be blindly followed. He'll learn. I see things my way, he sees things his way. I bring a little blood to the system in my way, too. Maybe later he'll command more, lead more. But for now, it is what it is.
You clearly have more combat time on tanks. And you guide him, right?
Maybe that's why. I listen more to the gunner. We operate as a pair a lot. And I listen to the commander too, of course. Bit by bit, we're getting better. I think everything's ahead of us. We work well as a crew. You see, my role in the tank is simple. Haul two idiots around. That's the truth. Drive them in, drive them out. But I want more. To take a real part in the fight. When I first came to the draft office, they put me into a Banchik.
Banchik, like a mobile bathhouse truck?
A truck. Man, Kraz, that type. It had a shower unit inside. We'd drive out, guys would wash, and move on. That's where I met our gunner, still at the draft office. We stuck together from day one. Then we headed to our battalion area. I signed up for Mekvid. They needed drivers, so that's how I ended up here.
You said earlier, commander and gunner have their fun firing. Meanwhile, you just drive. And you want to take part in the fight. In the killing work itself, right?
Yes, I'd like to be more involved. To show the enemy what we're capable of. We're fighting for our land. What are they fighting for?
You know, they say a tank and its crew are like a family. And here, literally, brothers from one village fighting together in the east. They won't always agree. Not everything is smooth between them. But from the words of their commander, they're pros. And they really can hit the enemy hard when it counts.
On me, right?
Yeah, it's done.
And this has already started up?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's roll. The American M1117 armored security vehicle was developed by Cadillac Gage based on the Commando family. Those earlier variants were used to guard bases during the Vietnam War. And the M117 is basically the refined, upgraded version. Better armor protection, better maneuverability. Now, about the unit working with this platform. It was designed for very specific mission sets. The US military police were the ones who ordered it. And the main missions they used it for were
Area patrols.
convoy security.
Yeah, exactly. Securing military bases.
Support the channel with a like and subscribe.
A solid machine built for niche, specialized tasks.
What exactly do you mean? Where can it be used in modern battlefield conditions?
This model is used mostly for reconnaissance tasks or escort missions. Escort runs, cover teams. Get a group in, get them out.
There are ramps on both sides where the crew enters. Let's climb in, and then you can explain what's inside.
Climbing in.
This is the gunner station. The turret's enclosed, and it rotates 360 degrees. Can you show how it turns?
Right side, left side. You've got a lever here. And then it turns. A bit heavy though.
And here's the marking for firing from covered positions.
From covered positions, yeah. You get enemy coordinates sent to the tablet. You punch them in, and then they tell you the azimuth and elevation. Elevation is how much you raise the gun. Azimuth is how far you rotate the turret to the side. For example, they tell you, turn the turret to 100. That means the enemy is to your right or left at that bearing, so you rotate to 100. Here's the center mark. And elevation. You lift the gun to the angle needed for that distance, and then you fire. After that, a drone adjusts your shots. Manually, it's slower. But the electric drive rotates the turret in any direction way faster.
So basically, you can control the turret with this joystick as well? I see optics here too.
Yeah, night optics. And a rangefinder as well.
Yeah, I see it.
It rotates too. You adjust everything here.
Your distance.
And this part lifts. It's designed for a 40mm grenade launcher.
Ah, for the MK19?
Yeah. This lever lifts the weapon, and here's your distance scale. You can raise it to match that range and fire accurately out to those distances.
All right, let's see what else we've got here.
This is another seat for the dismount. The driver sits on the left, the commander on the right. The vehicle has AC. It's warm. Nobody's freezing in here. You can ride in winter in any temperature.
And in summer, that's just as important because the armor heats up like crazy.
No. You flip the AC to cold, set your temperature, and ride like you're in a good imported car.
All right, let's keep going and show people what else is here. And up front, you've got a winch.
Here's where the cable runs. You pull it out, and the commander switches on the motor, and that's how you recover the vehicle. Plus, you can pull out another vehicle the same way. If someone's stuck, you drive up, hook the winch to their ride, and pull them in.
And now, let's show our viewers where that extra seat is. As we figured out from the markings inside.
It's strictly for the mechanic. He keeps his tools here. Everything needed to repair the vehicle.
There's access to the engine bay, and we also saw special mounts for the grenade launcher. And if needed, someone can pop out from here and provide covering fire with, as I understand it, an AT-4. You can't really evacuate wounded in this thing, right?
Not much room for evacuation in this specific modification. There is a troop transport variant, but that's a different machine. You can haul cargo, bring something in or out. That's doable. And considering the armor here is pretty solid, it stops a 12.7mm armor-piercing round. The belly is protected too. Better protected than a Humvee, and way better than any pickup. Though honestly, most of our work still gets done on pickups. On the right side of the vehicle is the master power switch. That's what powers the whole electrical system. Turn it right. Done. That's the main cutoff key. And then we climb in.
All right, I'll go first, the delicate one. It's a diesel engine, 260 horsepower, 6-speed transmission. From what I understand, the gear shifts are button-based, neutral, reverse, forward. It's even written here. You can see the speed for each gear. So if we switch to 6th gear, that's max speed. 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour. What's the fastest you've pushed it on the road?
We hit around 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour. Didn't go faster. The roads just didn't allow it. Another thing, it's got 2 fuel tanks, left and right. That's marked on the panels too.
And the tanks, what's their capacity?
One tank is 90 liters, about 24 gallons. Both together, 180 liters, about 48 gallons.
And fuel consumption, roughly how much?
About 30, let's say around that. On a full tank, you can drive roughly 700 kilometers, about 435 miles. That's probably on asphalt.
Starting it up, here's the switch. Toward yourself, then up.
Good.
So that's already the legal starting procedure?
Yeah, that's it. Here's the gear. See? Neutral.
Got it. Now drive. And now everything's set.
Release the brakes and go. And we're moving.
Wow, the steering is really light. I'm guessing it's hydraulic?
Yes. Very good hydraulics for such a heavy machine.
Let's tuck it over there.
Neutral, handbrake, and kill the engine.
Toward me, right?
Yeah. Then return it to its resting position and switch off the master power. Done. The vehicle is shut down. Only the central master switch left. And that's it.
You've now received new vehicles. And as I understand, some of them are already undergoing modifications. You're wrapping them in grille armor, upgrading them for modern battlefield conditions. And you're also looking for new specialists. You're choosing people for your crew. Who exactly are you looking for?
We're always short on people, especially smart ones. Energetic guys who want victory, who want to do something. And specifically for this vehicle, we're looking for enthusiasts, drivers.
Mechanized drivers?
Yeah, mech drivers, tractor operators. Practice shows that tractor operators make the best drivers for armored vehicles. Drivers, gunners, and people who can operate at night. That's not easy. Night work with night vision. Not everyone can handle that, as practice shows.
And let's show the viewers what it looks like from above, from the turret, where the machine gun is mounted. Here's the Browning, right?
Here's the Browning. And the MK-19 can be mounted here too.
And there's the mounting bracket.
For the machine gun.
And the triplex, it's also mounted 360 degrees, so the crew gets a full 360-degree view.
Yes, yes. And behind, the smoke launchers. 4 on each side. You know, I once had this desire to take Crimea back. I really believed we'd get it back. Today, I understand that would take a titanic amount of work. When the war first started, the draft offices had lines around the block because people got scared for their homes. But when the front line shifted away, the people who weren't near those lines suddenly felt like everything just happens on its own out there. So to the people watching us from the other side of the screen, you can come. Yes, the work is dangerous. But that's life. Life is turbulent. I don't want the enemy coming here. This is our home. We're the ones in charge here. And as long as we can hold, we will hold. And I believe they'll lose this war anyway.